Hi guys, it's Henry from Investment for Expats. If you haven't come across us before, we help expats with cross-border wealth management. We've got over 500 blogs on our website and we've helped thousands of expats over the last 5 years. We're looking at the cross-border of wealth management. Today I want to go a topic that I get emailed in quite a lot, and that's Saudi expats living in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go over what are some of the best non-advisor platforms to look at if you're an expat living in Saudi Arabia, some portfolios to go over, very simple. Some of the best advisor-led platforms, so you know what to look out for. Offshore bonds, what are the pros and cons of them, and some of the costs and hidden costs to look out for. Savings plans, these monthly plans, and why you should mostly avoid them for most personnel. And then just give you a bit of a summary. I'll also put some links in the description below, so you've got more of in-depth of the blogs that we've written over the time. So just to get into it, some of the best non-advisor-led platforms that you can do. So if you just want to invest yourself on cheap non-advisor-led platforms, and you're an expat living in Saudi, you can do these in major currencies, for example, US dollars. Look for ones like Swissquote or Saxo Bank. Now, I've done a number of articles on these, as you can see here. Swissquote and Saxo, they're pretty low cost. You normally pay around 0.12% for the custody fee. Trading fees pretty cheap as well, normally $1 Saxo Bank. You can get a range of funds in there. They are somewhat limited, but if you're looking for a simple portfolio, they have you covered on that. So they're some of the best options if you're just looking for a platform for low cost. In terms of portfolios, what to do, so if ever in doubt and you've got a long time horizon is, what I do is just go straight into Vanguard Life Strategy 100 dollar cost, average it in. You can't get much wrong, and to be honest, you'll probably end up beating most advisors anyway over the long run on that. So if you've got smaller amounts of cash and there's no cross-border planning, you're just looking at very simple investing, dollar cost averaging, going to one of those platforms, the very basic, very simple end, that just put into a Vanguard ETF, dollar cost average it. It'll be hard to go wrong. Some of the best advisor-led platforms. Now, if you're looking at an advisor, these are the two platforms that I'd mainly look at using because they're fee-based, they're FCA regulated, and they've got all what you need. I've gone into a lot more detail in the blog about the regulations, etc., how they come up. But to be honest, they're more much alike, the platforms, and there isn't too much different to choose over them. That's Novia and Morningstar. The costs vary depending on the advice and the amount, but normally the base costs for amounts under 500,000 US dollars is 0.35% on both platforms. Again, you've got major currencies in them. They've got a good technology behind them. If I can go down here, I'll give you a bit of an example of how I've compared them. You can see the technology in the Novia platform, how you can see the funds, etc., on that, and also on the Premier Morningstar now platform as well. So they're the two advisor-led platforms that I'd use if you're looking to choose an advisor in Saudi Arabia. Some of the fees, it does vary, but normally it wouldn't be anything more than 1%. Normally you'd like to keep it toward 0.5% per year with no initial charge, particularly if there's no if it's just a setup of portfolio management. Now looking to go on to offshore bonds. Now offshore bonds, I've got quite a few emails of personnel that talk about offshore bonds in Saudi Arabia. They should often not be used. The only time, as I've written about in a lot of articles, is when they should be used is one, at the base cost, two, if you're looking to move back to a location where they're tax efficient. So for example, the UK or Australia, where they have tax advantages that can be potentially used. If they're used at the base cost, now the base cost, it can be quite cost effective. If I go down here, I can show you some at the base cost of a particular platform over a 10-year period. Again, it can get quite complex, these charging structures, but it's 0.067%. And then you've got an admin fee of 400 GBP. So for example, if you're using that on $1 million, it can work out, and you're not intending to withdraw it for that amount. You've got your liquidity, and you're going back to the UK. An offshore bond can be used. Again, these are usually used for commission, so be very careful if you're ever using these, and watch out. Get full disclosure of the fees and the commission. Most offshore bonds, particularly the ones based in the Isle of Man, do have to disclose the commission, and make sure you've given a full disclosure of that before signing or proceeding with anything on those on an offshore bond cost. Some of the top offshore bonds to use, I've gone again in this, is Royal London, at the base cost 0.067%. Again, in this chart here, as you can see, I've gone over the full commission of that, where they do it over 10-year. It does lack flexibility. Again, also a bit of a downside on the offshore bonds. They don't allow ETF. They're high trading costs. They're really a kind of bespoke product for a niche personnel. They shouldn't be used for the masses. So if your criteria fits that, you may want to look at an offshore bond. 90% of the personnel, I would say, just look for a platform. They're way better, especially for your time in Saudi Arabia, where there's no tax on investments anyway. You can always move it to an offshore bond later on if you are looking to go to those places like the UK or Australia. Savings plans, I'll quickly go over these. I think they're pretty awful, to be honest. A lot of these monthly saving plans by a lot of companies, it's not just one, but I'll name a few: Royal London, Hansard, Investors Trust, etc. Not a big fan of them. They do have a use, I guess, if you just want the discipline of saving. But as we spoke about earlier, if you're looking at just low cost platforms, you could just set it up where you can save it monthly, and they'll have less costs. They won't have any penalties. They won't have hidden commissions. They're not complex to understand, where your charging structure, your surrenders, your bonuses, etc. Just going to a low-cost platform. For 99.9% of personnel, I'd avoid the savings plans and just go for a platform. Hope you found this useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to message me at info@investmentforexpats.com. I'll also put a link to some of the articles which we've used in the blog, so you can, if you did want to, you can go and have a look in more detail.